Jubril Karim is joining us from downtown Lagos, Victoria Island, to discuss this a bit further. He's an energy analyst at EcoBank Group. Jubril, good morning. Thanks for coming through on the program.
Good morning, President. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure this is one piece of news on the government side that looks like perhaps we're getting our acts together addressing the issue of power from a non-traditional point of view for Nigerians at the bottom of the pyramid. Do you see it that way?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. It depends on which of the power problem is the government trying to solve. If it's about rural electrification, then that's a good way to go. But if it's about reliant, sustainable electricity for the Nigerian economy and to sustain the industry, then that's simply a drop in the ocean. What they did was a form of rural electrification that allowed all great rural areas to get the units of independent solar panels and the inverters to power their residents. So all this project is quite on. If you look at the output from these projects on individual basis or even on aggregate level, it's quite very small and insignificant if you compare to what the national grid is. But I think it then goes far to show the extent of the lack of connectivity of the rural area to the national grid and the extent to which we still need to go in terms of distribution and transmission and getting the transmission line to reach different areas of the country, as well as on the distribution companies to further broaden their access of the area under their coverage.
But if you look at the energy deficiency in Nigeria, lack of sustainability, it's at the bottom of the pyramid where you have millions and millions of Nigeria folks that could hardly afford a functional generator and move and use this on a daily basis using petrol, whose pricing is a bit flip-floppy, sometimes not really available when you run into some measure of crisis now and then. So then you need to service these generators anyway. So the costs, therefore, and the cost of this to health and dangers associated with it.
Well, in the initial case, most of these projects are always looking very positive, and they are indeed very positive. But as times pass, and all these inverters, backup batteries that are provided for this project require servicing, and they're quite expensive because if you compare the cost of generating power through solar energy, whether in a small unit or in a large scale, it's quite more expensive than what we have for bigger power generation. The problem is not now. The problem is what happened 2 years down the line, a year down the line, when there is maintenance cost to be incurred, or when there is replacement cost for batteries to be replaced and all. So would there be a sustainable level of relationship between the government and these communities? That's what the important factor is. It's always good to institutionalize all this kind of thing as against just doing a government CSR project. Because if you do it this way, you've gotten the credits today, tomorrow you are no more there to actually carry out and see that these projects don't become a white elephant. So that's why it's always a better approach if it's much of a government institution, and that's why I believe that if you find a way to put all these projects under the distribution companies, or even better still, connect rather than giving the individual unit of solar power to these villages, how about connecting them to the grid? That's more sustainable. The only thing they will have to cover will be the the supply cost that is being charged to them by the distribution companies. Because down the line, these projects are actually very expensive and will not be sustainable for the rural areas and the poor that they have been targeted.
Yes, thank you, Jubril, for that conversation. Of course, it's very noteworthy there what you said about the cost of maintenance and sustaining those equipment. You're seeing the images on the TV screen right now from yesterday's event. You said that perhaps this should be linked to the discos in that catchment area. Are you concerned that this is a federal government project on one hand and not exactly from the Federal Ministry of Power, how works in housing? Do you see something here that you think perhaps the government, the Buhari's administration, wants to look good, making promises, keep the society nice and cool, rolling out some programs just to keep everybody nice and good. But how does it fit into the broader energy conversation and efficiency, sustainability, infrastructure, funding, whatever that we want to have in Nigeria?
Well, it goes further to say what is the what area of the power sector is the government currently paying attention to? Is it the one that you have the quick fix, that you can fix single unit of power equipment into a single house and see the bulb lit up and you get the credit for it? Or is it the one that requires 10 years, 20 years plan that will be implemented long after you have done your administration has expired? And I think the latter is actually a much more better way in planning for this country. We should stop. For instance, let's look at the previous administration and the energy saving stove that they brought then. What has happened to it? There is no institutionalization. There is no form of sustenance in that. So what is always better to do is to target projects that are sustainable. Focus more on what the power sector is. Unlike road construction and other, we all know that it takes time to see the results when government is working out to fix power. But we understand that. But right now, what we are seeing is that there is really the plan that they're putting forward. They said there is a plan, but we are not really seeing that those plans are quite effective. And those plans are not planning for the future, which is what we should be targeting. We should not be talking about 2000, in 4 years' time or in 5 years' time. We should be looking at a plan for the power sector that incorporates the next 10 years. What will be the Nigerian energy demand? How do we meet that? How do we solve the transmission problem? How do we solve getting gas to all the stranded power plants across the country? Let's connect more of these power plants to the grid. Let's get gas to them so that they can operate at optimal level. We have power plants that are supposed to be doing 500 megawatts that are currently operating at 150 because they can't get gas. We have those that are getting gas that are not properly connected to the transmission grid, which means limited supply to the grid. All those should be the focus. Put together a plan, a much more sustainable plan that is a long-term plan.